Hey guys, hope you're well. Today we'll be studying the Canelo versus Bivol fight. I've picked a round where Canelo does considerably well considering the other rounds. It was a pretty even, well-matched round. So yeah, let's get into it straight away. So the first thing these two boxers are going to do is very simply get into their looks and their lead hand. As you can see, Canelo, he's using a level change feint, and then he circles off to his left with a high guard. Another little slip inside look with the high guard. He then keeps it there and almost invites the jab, and then boom, takes it on the glove right there. Good work. Bivol just obviously level changing himself and using a sharp jab. And then as Canelo moves towards his left, he's subtly trying to close the distance. Bivol is just going to back off into a shuffle step. You see Canelo also land a little high jab here, which might land on the gloves. For them right now, it's who's trying to win the lead hand battle for this round. You see Bivol not panic. He's stepping back, but not too far back either. And he's just raising his guard, moving off to his left, making sure that he isn't giving Canelo too much respect either, but still keeping the distance. He then throws another jab which lands on Canelo's high guard. Canelo's got this very, very tight squeeze here as he comes forward. It's a great look. And then Canelo, what's he going to do? He's going to play around with Bivol's right glove. He's going to feint his lead glove down and come up with a jab. Really nice double jab here. You see Bivol a little bit square on. He takes this first jab before blocking the second, but it does push him off balance. And then straight back in with his own jab himself, which Canelo tries to parry. Here you're going to see Bivol do something pretty excellent. He's going to jab. He's going to see that Canelo's now slipped it. So he just brings it halfway back before throwing out another jab and then keeping him at range with this touch and then this feint here before stepping back. He then uses a high guard to make sure he can squeeze from Canelo's counter shots. You see Canelo here after this slip, he's playing around with his defense a little bit, getting feinted out, and then decides to retaliate. So he closes the distance with a lean over high guard look, and then he goes for a 1, 2, 3, which lands around the ear or the jaw area of Bivol, and then tries to recover with a little touch jab at the end. And Bivol uses this great squeeze and is going to stay in front of Canelo until he feels like he doesn't need to anymore. So here he's looking for defense, Bivol. He raises his guard on the touch jab and then look at his back foot, shuffles out of range, pulls back and makes sure that Canelo doesn't have the option of a static opponent, okay? You see Canelo is so creative with his setups and his threes. Here he's going to go touch. He's going to frame it a little bit as he moves forward. He's then going to feint and come up with the uppercut, which misses. He sees Bivol's backed up to the ropes, so he's just going to use his half jab to get forward, and then boom, going to land this right hand to the shoulder of Bivol after the shuffle step. And Bivol is pretty content with this, and he's just going to pivot out as Canelo gets close, get Canelo to square up before shuffling out to his left into a little reset. Canelo does the right thing. Once he's square on, he uses a jab to sort of push him off balance. Bivol's right now in a sideways position using some looks. He's feinting a little bit, raising his hand back up to look for defense, level changing a little bit, and is then going to try for his own jab. So he's just trying to subtly change the rhythm, use his lead hand, and then without much telegraphing is just going to try to snap in with this jab. Canelo, if we're looking at him, he's using his high guard look, he's leaning over, he's looking for a counter, and then once he sees it, pull and 2 over the top. It doesn't land because Bivol has pretty good recovery with his jab. He kind of leaves it out there and then uses his elbow to sort of block it as he steps back. Then Bivol, what he's going to do is after Canelo's missed his counter, he's then going to feint upstairs and then boom, jab to the body once Canelo's square on. Excellent, excellent shot. Obviously Canelo's off balance, so he has to remake his base. This gives Bivol the time to come forward, and then he's going to feint downwards and try to come up with a hook before Canelo tries to get out of range with a sort of long pivot into a reset here. You can see the rhythm of Bivol's attacks is very offbeat again, like we talked about in the Mayweather fight. He's changing the levels here after using the jab up top, and then he shuffles forward. He looks very relaxed here and then suddenly explodes into a left hook. He's making sure it's not obvious what he wants to do, which is very effective in a slow-paced fight. He walks down Canelo as he moves off to his left, and then they both stay in this sort of high guard position. For Bivol is actually going to say, I'm going to touch the right glove with my jab, then keep it there, jab in between, and then touch the left glove with my jab. So basically just keeping Canelo at bay, using both gloves and a sort of frame to bother Canelo's high guard. Canelo, in retaliation, is then going to circle around to his left a little bit before firing off this great jab. Bivol does a good job of getting his guard up to block it. And then as you can see, Canelo shuffles around to his left with his left hook to the air before adding another one at the end. Once Bivol squared up, Bivol manages to squeeze correctly, back off out of range. But as you can see, Bivol is now square on. He remakes his base in front of Canelo. As soon as he has, Canelo's ready to throw because he knows that Bivol isn't going to be super ready to defend here. So Canelo is just going to feint up. Again, throw that right hook to the body, but it lands on the arm, which Canelo is aiming for, as we know from the Callum Smith fight. And then boom, and then he tries to go for a 1-2, but Bivol backs off, and he decides to use it as feints instead because he's not in range. He then raises his guard and again goes for a touch jab on the right glove, then closes the distance and a little level change feint with the lead hand before coming up with a jab. Bivol staying very patient here as he moves off to his left, and as he sees Canelo try to close the distance, Bivol does it for him, smothers Canelo, getting him to square up before backing away and then trying to keep Canelo out range with a jab, which Canelo parries. As he moves to his left, he's aware that the right hand could be there, so he jabs the right glove and keeps it there as a little frame, and again goes into that lead hand pattern where he doesn't retract it and goes for a point scoring jab as well, just to bother Canelo. He then keeps him at range as he goes backwards. This is a very good backwards jab. You can see how he flexed his shoulder here just to make sure that Canelo couldn't really move forward and get him off balance. So now Bivol, what he's going to do is play around with his threes and lead hand. He jabs on the inside and feints, which gets Canelo to pull back. Canelo moves around to his left with the high guard, and Bivol is going to go into a 3-punch combination. He's going to go touch, jab to the body, 2 to the body, and then recover with another jab up top. Okay, still using the lead hand. He uses a double jab here. He feints. He uses another jab. He touches and then tries to come around for the hook, and then another jab again before keeping it in place and going for 1, 2, 3, 4-punch combination. He moves around to his right after this combination, changes the angle. Canelo moves forward with a high guard, so he kind of looks for a counter here and goes 1, 2, 3, and again a 4-punch combination with the right hand landing at the end. Really, really nice fluid arm motion. Okay, he's not putting too much behind any of these punches. And then if we watch that whole sequence again, I can put it in fast actually. I think it's from here. I just want you to watch Bivol's lead hand and rhythm. It's very, again, just feinty, offbeat, level changing, going upstairs, downstairs, using the lead hand very well, and then manages to land this great right hand at the end of this exchange. Canelo is very static with his defense. He's trying to time all of these shots, and you can't. You can't time all of these shots if you're staying in the same position. It is very, very, very difficult, as it's getting proved by Canelo here. If it's the same rhythm of the combination and the same sort of attack patterns, then that's fine. A smart fighter can figure that out. But any static defense versus someone who's level changing, feinting, doubling up, tripling up on the left hand, then feinting the right hand, then, do you understand? It's very, very hard to manage. After this, Bivol knows that Canelo's going to retaliate, so he brings up his high guard and is going to look for defense. He shuffles back here. Canelo's using his looks, and Canelo's going to try set up the body. He goes for his famous right uppercut touch and a left hook to the body. Misses wildly because Bivol, what's the defense he's looking for? He's looking for a squeeze shuffle back. He isn't interested in getting in range for Canelo's shots. So he resets around to the right shortly. Canelo takes the initiative with the touch jab. Here, Bivol's going to back up in a straight line, and he's going to stalk him down with his high guard and then use some great lead hand work. He goes 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. This time he almost frames it a little bit, and then boom, a right hand over the top. I think even Bivol was guarding that, and it still looked like it got through really well. And then Bivol's going to do the correct thing. He's going to smother and pivot away with a forearm frame to make sure Canelo's off balance. Canelo's going to get close again. He's using his high guard, and then he's going to use his lead hand work again. Bivol's going to squash the distance with this, which is going to offset Canelo a little bit, and then break off again. But Canelo, since he's used his lead hand pretty well here, he understands the distance after this forearm frame and is going to step in with a feint and then a right hand over the top, which lands around the ear. Bivol backs off it with a shuffle step. Bivol then sort of walks around to his right. He uses it as high guard again. He goes back into his lead hand, using some touch jabs to keep Canelo at range. He then moves around to his left with a jab here, Canelo, which gets Bivol to square up a little bit. Bivol straight away swings his back foot around to get sideways on, and then he's using his lead hand backwards. Bivol's again looking for defense as he moves back. He uses a little level change here. It's looks versus looks. He then raises his guard, waits for the shot to come from Canelo, and then Canelo's going to stalk forwards. 1, 2, 3, all in setup for the right hand. It lands again on the arm, which Bivol at the end of the fight clearly has a huge bruise on, so they are pretty effective shots anyway. And then Bivol's going to try to move off to his left. Canelo's again going to go into another 3-4 punch combination, jab up high, feint low, jab up high again, and then boom around on the arm. Good squeeze from Bivol, and then he closes the distance with this smother and then pivots off to his left. Canelo then goes again for a close range combination. Bivol can see it coming and he sees the feint. He raises his lead glove and he manages to pull him back away just in time for the right uppercut. He then, on the reset to his left, raises his guard and manages to block away from this one too before shuffling out to his left. Canelo's not letting the pressure off and is going to use another jab here. He's been taking the initiative in this round with these jabs very, very often, and that's probably why this might be one of the best rounds he had all fight. The lead hand lets you do a million different things. It lets you understand the distance. It lets you have confidence in the space in between your opponent and yourself, especially if it's a sharp jab. It's also an easy point scorer, so it looks like he's doing a lot better than he is, because technically he's only really landed one right hand this round. So here, as Bivol moves off to his left, he's going to use his lead hand again. And remember, whilst you circle with your lead hand work, you will be squaring them up. As you can see, Canelo's sideways on here, but after 2 jabs, 1, 2, he's completely squared up, okay? And that's why Bivol manages to catch him with his third jabs completely square on, and then feint him as he's going backwards, and then jab over the top again. If we recount everything he's doing, he's going touch, touch, feint, jab, and then backs off, touch, touch, feint, and a hook to the air. Excellent lead hand work to occupy the distance, especially that space in between that we've talked about before, that is an anxious space. Controlling it with your lead hand like this is very, very good work. Canelo then tries to come forward with a high guard, and a little frame by Bivol as he steps back, and he just keeps him there. He then feints and frames again on Canelo's high guard, pushing him a little bit off balance. Canelo's been stalking for a couple seconds now, so he's going to come forward, walk him down, use a high guard look again, and then feint low with the left hand, and then come around with the hook, which I think is a pretty good landing shot around Bivol's squeeze. Bivol then backs off to the left, he resets, and then he knows that Canelo's going to go for another combination when he's near the ropes. Touch, touch, and again an overhand right to the arm here. I mean, you could argue that this is a kind of wasted shot because he smothers himself and again lets Bivol pivot off and recover. As Canelo's walking him down with no looks here, Bivol thinks that's the perfect time to feint. He stops his reset and then uses a jab and feints the backhand. You see Canelo super out of position here, which Bivol is aggressively going to shuffle forwards on and then try for a zoned 3. 1, 2, 3. Beautiful defense by Canelo, especially after recovering from this position. He's luckily shuffled back to have a little bit of space. He parries this one and gets under it. He then tries to get under a little bit the right hand, steps back out for the pull. He then moves around to his right. He knows he's on the ropes, so he's going to play possum a little bit. This was a big theme in this fight, and Bivol, he's going to really stay patient on this because he knows he could get countered. Here he shuffles forward on Canelo with his lead hand sort of feinty, and then goes for a sort of jab to the chest. And then after this first one, he's going to frame it there, and they're going to go for a 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay? Again, very fluid shots. It's a nice sort of 5-punch combination. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, actually. 6-punch combination while Canelo's on the ropes. Canelo's done a pretty good job to only really take one shot here, and that's this left hook here. He is squared on, and he does have excellent defense, but also Bivol's not closing the distance stupidly. He isn't interested in getting countered. Canelo moves off a little bit to his right. Bivol's going to try and keep him there and then just backs off with his lead hand and then feints him low before going to the body. He then touches upstairs. He's going to drop his guard to see if Canelo's coming forward or not. He sees that he's not, and then he's going to go for a triple jab. 1, 2, 3. Again, all of these half jabs, he's barely retracting. He wants to keep it in Canelo's face. He then, once he sees Canelo slip, he uses it as a frame and backs off. He sees that Canelo's still on the rope, so he readjusts the angle. With a short circle off to his left, Canelo's still using his head movement looks. And Bivol bites, but safely, and he goes jab, jab, 2 to the body, and another frame as he backs off. I think Bivol's also quite surprised that Canelo's really taken his time to play possum here. So he's then going to close the distance a little bit more riskily with a high guard here, with this little high guard look as he comes forward. He sees Canelo's not reacting again, so from this more sort of middle range now, he's then just going to keep using his lead hand to touch at Canelo's forehead, just making it look like he's in complete control of the action here. He's then going to do something really nice with his rhythm. After being so sort of uptight with these jabs, he's then going to relax completely his guard with this look, and then Canelo's going to relax with him, and then he's going to say, no, feint 2. Okay? Really nice right hand from Bivol. He then keeps getting into this high guard look and this relaxed look and this sort of feinty lead hand, and he's then going to step in with a jab. He's then going to just keep on using his looks. High guard here, lower guard here, feint, level change, touches, lead hand work, keeping it at range, feint as well to the body. Basically trying to say to Canelo, with all these looks and feints and lead hand work, I am not biting. That's what he's saying to Canelo. And it's just frustrating Canelo, really, because he's given him no options to land a counter or even get on close range, as Canelo might want to do as well. Canelo figures he's had enough, so he's going to come forward from the ropes and circle off to his left with a jab. Bivol sees this coming and is going to parry and jab to the chest at the same time before backing off. Bivol's then backing off with his high guard look, making sure he's looking for defense. He then sees Canelo come forward again, jabs him in between, feints him. They both sort of level change feint each other. And then Bivol's going to look for his own counter here from this relaxed guard. And Canelo's going to lean forward very subtly and then explode up from this great jab here. You can see Bivol trying to pull away from it. And then he's going to counter with his own right hand over the top and another jab. Very good work by both boxers here. So Canelo's then going to stalk forwards with this high guard look and then jab up before shuffling in, exploding with this right hand around the guard. It doesn't really land, but once he sees Bivol's nearly backed up to the ropes, he's going to go for that same combination again. He's going to go touch, touch, and then an overhand right to the arm of Bivol. Bivol then shuffles away, pivots out, and then resets to his left. How does he recover from his reset? He's going to recover with a little feint here to keep Canelo honest. He's even going to go for this 4-punch combination, actually. He's going to go 1 hook around the guard, sort of this right hook to the body, and then another left hook before pushing him off with a jab. Sort of even a 5-punch combination. Really nice work from Bivol. He's touching, he's keeping him at range. Canelo's squared up. Canelo's trying to get a parry hand on Bivol's jab, and then is then going to explode forward with a long left hook. Bivol sees this coming because he's out of range and manages to get a great block on it before moving backwards and resetting off to his right. Here Canelo's going to have the best success he's had all round and is then going to stalk him forwards. Instead of going for that jab, jab and an overhand right to the arm, he's then going to go touch, touch, touch again, frame it a little bit, and then boom, this great uppercut here. Bivol then again smothers the distance, pivots off, resets to his left. Canelo's coming forward here. He's looking for a counter. He sees the half jab from Bivol after this high guard, so he slips and tries a right hand over the top. But Bivol's too far away, and plus using this half jab to the air, can see Canelo coming in. He then shuffles back, tries to keep him at range with a frame, and then move off to his left. Here he's going to level change, touch around with the guard a little bit, feint again, and then that's the end of the round. Really interesting round to study there. Do hope you enjoyed it. I don't know which fight I'm going to break down next, so let me know in the comments if you'd like anything. If not, I'll just pick at random. Alright, take care guys, happy training.